He portrayed the most ruthless penguin villain in Batman. He brought chaos into every room he entered. Standing at just 4 feet 10 inches, he carried an undeniable presence, and Hollywood often struggled to understand what to do with him. Yet Danny DeVito always knew exactly who he was. What the cameras never captured, what the posters and award nominations never revealed, was the one element that kept everything together. It was not fame or films. It was a woman from Brooklyn who walked into a small theater one January night in 1971. She completely forgot why she had come and could not take her eyes off the man on stage. She chose him long before the world had any reason to notice him. At 81, Danny DeVito has finally spoken about it openly. She was the only love of his life. The story of how he reached this point, through a childhood that should have destroyed him, a Hollywood system that tried to reshape him, and a marriage that refused to end even after it transformed, is the kind of tale that makes you reconsider what love truly means. He was born on November 17, 1944, in Neptune, New Jersey. From the very start, the world seemed determined to show him that he was not what it expected. His mother, Julia, was 40 years old when he arrived, and had already raised several children. She had not wanted another one. Years later, she stated it clearly. "I didn't want him, but I'm so proud of him." 4 words of rejection followed by 6 words of pride left a little boy to decide which ones to carry with him. Danny carried both throughout his life. That early feeling of being unwanted, of being an afterthought in the home where he should have mattered most, never completely left him. He fought against it. He used it as fuel, but it remained inside him. His father was a kind man during daylight hours and ran a popular candy shop in Asbury Park. At night, however, drinking changed him. Young Danny learned to recognize the warning signs, the way children in such homes always do. Sometimes he hid in closets. Sometimes he ran to neighbors' houses. Between 1950 and 1955, police were called to their home at least 17 times. Danny also carried an invisible burden. He was born with a rare genetic condition called Fairbanks disease, which limited his height to 4 feet 10 inches. Yet the height was only part of it. The condition caused constant pain in his joints, hips, knees, and back. By his 20s, his daily pain level usually sat between 6 and 8 out of 10. Hollywood advised him to stay silent about it. Weakness was not something audiences wanted to see, so he kept quiet and continued working. In New York, he shared a cheap $75 a month apartment with Michael Douglas, who quietly kept secret that his father was Kirk Douglas. They survived on canned beans and once spent their last $27 on headshots, which they delivered by hand across the city. Douglas began booking roles while Danny faced repeated rejections. He parked cars and stood motionless in store windows, pretending to be a mannequin. For a time, he lived in his old Volkswagen Beetle and showered at the YMCA. He kept these struggles private for decades. Hollywood repeatedly pressured him to change. One studio offered him the modern equivalent of nearly $1 million to undergo surgery that would reshape his face for mainstream appeal. He refused. He burned the contract in a beach bonfire. "I'd rather be a first-rate version of myself than a second-rate version of someone else," he told the casting director. He meant every word. By 1970, Danny DeVito was 26 years old. He had faced more rejections than he could count and lived with a body that caused constant pain he could not easily explain. He had survived a childhood that would have broken many others. He was still standing, but he had not yet been truly seen by another person in the deepest way. That was about to change on January 17, 1971. It was a one-night-only off-Broadway play called The Shrinking Bride. Rhea Perlman had gone to see a friend in the cast. That was her only reason for being there. She was 22, from Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, the daughter of a Polish immigrant who worked in the toy business. She had studied drama at Hunter College and was waitressing at the Rainbow Room while auditioning. She sat down to watch her friend and then noticed him. There was a short, stocky man on stage. He was not tall and did not have the conventional leading man looks. Yet he completely commanded the room. Something in his movement, his timing, and his natural presence made Rhea Perlman forget everything else. When the show ended, she asked about him. She did not wait for a proper introduction. Years later, she laughed and said she had come onto him strongly right away. After the performance, they went to dinner and talked for hours. Danny, who had spent years being told he was wrong in every way, sat across from this Brooklyn woman who found him completely captivating. He later said he knew within the first 22 minutes that she was the woman he wanted to spend his life with. 2 weeks later, Rhea moved into his Manhattan apartment. It was not a long, careful courtship. Two people from working-class backgrounds with big dreams and tough upbringings recognized something rare in each other. They lived together for 11 years before marrying, not because their commitment was uncertain, but because they did not need a document to confirm what they already shared. His friendship with Michael Douglas eventually opened an important door. In 1975, Douglas was producing One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. He insisted on casting Danny despite initial resistance from the director. Danny played Martini in a small but unforgettable role. The film won 5 Academy Awards and put him on the map. In 1978, Danny made a decision many called career suicide. He turned down movie offers to audition for the TV sitcom Taxi. His agent advised against it, but Danny trusted his instincts. He delivered a powerful monologue in the audition that left everyone silent. ABC worried about his height, but the creator fought for him. Danny accepted the role of Louis De Palma without negotiating a higher salary. In the second season, Rhea joined the cast as Xena, Louis' girlfriend. The producers had no idea the two had been together for years and praised their natural chemistry. In January 1982, after 11 years together, they married quietly. That same year, Rhea began playing Carla Tortelli on Cheers, a role that earned her 4 Emmy Awards. Danny spoke about her success with deep pride. In 1983, while still filming Taxi, they quietly founded Jersey Films. Over the following decades, it became a major independent production company, backing films like Pulp Fiction, Erin Brockovich, Out of Sight, and Garden State. They supported Quentin Tarantino when others had rejected him and helped him make his vision reality on a modest budget. They did all this while raising 3 children, Lucy, Grace, and Jacob. They maintained a rule for decades. No more than 2 weeks would pass without them working creatively together. The best example was the 1996 film Matilda. Danny directed it, played the terrible Mr. Wormwood, cast Rhea as his wife, and gave their own children small roles. Off-camera, they quietly supported young actress Mara Wilson, whose mother was battling cancer. Danny arranged a special screening so her mother could see the film before she passed. Mara later described them as her favorite aunt and uncle, who made a painful time more bearable. The man who played villains on screen was, in real life, consistently one of the kindest people. In October 2012, after 30 years of marriage and over 40 years together, Danny and Rhea announced their separation. The public reacted with sadness because their relationship had represented something rare in Hollywood, yet they never divorced. They reconciled after a few months, attended therapy, and spent 4 more years together. They separated again in 2017, but still remained legally married. Rhea explained they shared too much history and love to ruin it with the difficulties of divorce. Danny bought a house less than a mile from hers. They spoke every single day, met regularly at their favorite restaurant, and stayed deeply involved in each other's lives. Their family remained close. In interviews, Danny continued to speak about Rhea with warmth and respect, saying they had grown together and still understood each other completely. In 2025, Danny began speaking more openly about his Fairbanks disease, not for personal attention, but to help others living with similar conditions. He had quietly donated millions to research without seeking credit. He also talked about the constant Hollywood pressure to change his appearance and how he had always refused. His answer remained the same from his struggling days to his 80s. He would rather be himself fully than try to become someone else. Through every challenge, the steady thread was the woman who had seen him clearly on that small stage in 1971. Long before fame arrived, she had chosen him when the world was still telling him he did not fit. She moved into his life quickly, and in the ways that mattered most, never truly left. At 81, Danny DeVito continues working, producing projects with his children and starring as Frank Reynolds on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He shows up and stays. He and Rhea still talk daily, share the same restaurant table, and remain husband and wife in every meaningful sense. When asked about her, he speaks simply and truthfully about their 3 children, growing family and daily conversations. No grand poetry, just honest reality. Please subscribe this channel and wait for my next video. Thank you.